and welcome you all in today's session for Talk Series 3.3. Today we are talking on a very important topic, which is engaging youth for e-cooking. And uh, just to give a background of why I say that this is an important topic to talk upon, uh, we have a data which suggests that 16% of global population is aged between 15 to 24 years. And by 2030, which is the target date for the SDGs, this number is projected to grow by 7%. Close to 90% of the world's youth is living in developing countries and bears a disproportionate brunt of cooking with polluting fuels and traditional cook stoves. Uh, the youth of today is our future leaders for tomorrow, and therefore their role in achieving the universal access to clean cooking is critical. It is important for us, all of us here in this room and the larger clean cooking ecosystem, to understand, the strategies that can drive youth engagement in this domain and enable them to take leadership roles in advancing clean cooking initiatives worldwide. I'm today joined by a stellar panel of experts, and the idea of putting together this session of today is to understand on the ways in which we can develop, strategies and solutions for bringing in more and more youth and engaging them in helping, create the cleaner cooking future, and also create more opportunities for the youth to participate and in interventions at all levels to accelerate the access of clean cooking. We will start this discussion of today uh, by having our speakers' presentations. So we have two speakers who are going to give their key points about this topic for today, and then we are going to move forward with the second part of today's session, which is a panel discussion on the same topic. But before we do that, I will take a couple of minutes for all those who've joined us today for the first time in Talk Series to give a quick background about this initiative and the initiative of MEX program in India. So moving forward, MEX program, Modern Energy Cooking Services program, is a global research program. It is UK aid FCDO funded program, and it's led globally by Loughborough University, UK. The program aims to accelerate the access of modern energy-based clean cooking globally. The research under the program suggests, works on an array of technologies, but there's a clear evidence which points to the viability of electric cooking using efficient cooking devices. In India, the activities of this program are managed by the in-country partner Finovista, and we are engaging into an array of activities within India under multiple strands of working and shaping up policy in terms of driving entrepreneurship and manufacturer base in the country, consumer awareness, and adoption of modern energy based clean cooking, and last but not the least, accelerating the access to finance for this sector. So moving forward, the session that we are today in is a part of Talk Series. It's a global platform that has increased its reach over the period of years. We are currently in the third phase. We've successfully concluded two such phases with 12 session ease, and happy to say that I would say it's a growing tribe of ecosystem players who sessions on a regular basis, and there's growing interest in talking on topics which are critical to enable the transition to modern energy-based cooking. And I've already mentioned that we've successfully concluded 2 phases, and we are already on the third phase. And this is about coming talk series, which is going to be happening in the month of January. So I'll stop here, and uh, I would invite our first speaker for today, Mr. Abhishek Sharma. He's the Joint Director of Bureau of Energy Efficiency. With a wide experience of 14 years, Mr. Abhishek Sharma has been associated with Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Management Center earlier. And I would request Mr. Abhishek to give his points and ideas with respect to this topic, and share how we can take things further on this. Yeah.
Thank you, madam. A very good afternoon to all of you. Uh, First of all, I would like to thank MECS and Finovista for inviting me for this lively topic on engaging youth for e-cooking. With around 66% of the population below the age of 35, India is the world largest, having the world largest youth population right now. India is home to around one-fifth of the world's youth population. The large youth population offers an opportunity and as well as a market to explore. Youth are, as we all know, very vital for the progress and successful for any community. They are the working force for a community. As a matter of fact, most of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal (SDGs) focuses on youth programs, identify them as a crucial national demographic and highlighting the importance of these programs. And at the climate and energy front, we have nations worldwide that are slowly moving towards net zero targets. India, through its Panchamrit targets in the recent COP26, have set the agenda for achieving this target by the year 2070. Energy transition and energy efficiency thus hold a major potential for meeting this goal of net zero, along with the target of renewable. Under the broader scheme of climate, electric cooking technology is becoming a major new area for investment and employment for the youths and a dynamic arena for international collaboration as well. The government of India has entrusted Bureau of Energy Efficiency, that is under Ministry of Power, to promote adoption of e-cooking through Go Electric campaign. States have an important role to play. We have 36 SDAs spread across all over the country, and we are promoting the e-cooking through these states. We are undertaking various demonstration projects in rural as well as urban areas. As a matter of the fact, again, the states like Meghalaya, Pondicherry, Ladakh, Kerala are doing a very active participation in e-cooking programs. States are striving to propagate e-cooking in hospitals, railway canteens, defense canteens, where we have 24/7 cooking programs, Anganwadis, and moreover government office buildings to propagate the message of e-cooking. And now coming to the topic today of engaging youth for e-cooking, youth has a huge potential to play an active role in the energy transition, but the main challenge is how to create or channelize their energy, inspire youth to work collaboratively for this program. Direct involvement of youth in energy transition process uh, will offer several opportunities for them. It provides an opportunity of employment, economic opportunities, easy, affordable access to the energy. This potential of energy transition underlines the importance of engaging youth in the policy development, and we need to provide a right platform to these youths and to channelize their energy at national, sub-national level and to encourage them. Such platform will help them in raising their voice, in influencing the policymakers, the government, and the various other policymakers and other stakeholders. Many parts of the world are are now experiencing such level of youth participation to promote e-cooking and experimenting with new ways to involve youth in this good endeavor. Some notable examples that I want to quote right now. Italy has organized the Youth for Climate Driving Ambition Summit, where the young people across the world gather to discuss topics and contribute and discuss their contribution to COP26 negotiations. The United Secretary General has established a youth advisory group on the climate change to ensure active participation in that debate. The Global Youth Energy Outlook is the first youth-led research project to engage more than 30,000 young people. In Denmark, we have youth climate councils on similar lines. It is now the high time, and we in India to take the lead in this regard and develop such platform for interaction among youth, so that India can become a superpower in this e-cooking program. With these words, I thank you, and the forum is open for the further discussions and observation and comments of other panelists. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Abhishek ji, for setting up today's session and also highlighting the important role that B is playing along with its SDAs in energizing the e-cooking penetration in India. With this, I'll move forward to our next speaker, Ms. Cherop Soy. She's the SDG 7 Global Ambassador for Youth at SC for All, representing the Pan African region. Her blog embodies her efforts to raise awareness of the climate knowledge gaps within her society and the world. And the title of the blog is Eco Warrior Kenya. She's particularly keen on emission reductions as reflected in her past and present role, with a focus on energy sector and believes that achieving a net zero future requires climate ambitions from all fronts. I would request Ms. Soe to please take it forward and share your views on the topic.
Thank you very much. I would first like to say that I'm privileged to be among this panel, and this is a topic that doesn't get much highlight or spotlight when it comes to the energy sector and youth participation. So I would like to thank you for deciding to carve out a topic for us to discuss this afternoon. As you had said in your opening address, and you laid the statistics, it's very clear that youth engagement is going to be a potential and going to be a force that will be embedded into the actualization of universal energy access and within this sector, given that youth are equipped with the right tools to navigate their efforts here. Because I would say, as a global youth ambassador, the interest from young people is very much present. There are so many young entrepreneurs in the energy space. There are so many young advocates. There are so many young aspiring policymakers within the energy space that only need that one platform to take them to the next level. And these are people you might see there either in universities, some are in their early career professionals, and they would really are interested in making a change and doing more than what they're currently doing. So definitely the interest is there, and there are recurring gaps that have been faced throughout the years that I think we need to address as we go along in 2024, especially within the e-cooking space. So I would say, as a reflection of my own personal background, it is 2023, we're about to wind up the year, and cooking over an open flame is still a reality for many, including my own community. And my motivation to make positive changes and progression in the clean cooking comes from being a part of the statistic that we always quote every time we want to start drafting a paper or when we're making our opening addresses. But to live that reality, it hits different. So being that statistic that lacks access to clean technology has been my push to being an ambassador and being an advocate, not just in my professional work, but also in my personal work at the community level. From a professional standpoint, I have always been puzzled as to why clean cooking is not always embedded or treated as an energy access priority for many countries, despite millions of people lacking access to it, and from many dying from the associated health complications that come about from it. So I believe that almost all sustainable development goals are anchored on energy access, from health to education to economic progression to combating climate change. And by far, clean cooking is at the center and the critical piece to actualizing universal energy access. And not only that, but also to being part of the global emission abatement puzzle that requires urgent action by all stakeholders. And by all stakeholders, that means including young people, because they are also part of the process and part of this process. And so moving ahead, I'm really thrilled to have this discussion, and I will center I would say my interventions throughout this session among some key topics. I would want to touch on mentorship and its importance, as well as creating that enabling environment specifically for youth energy entrepreneurs in the e-cooking space. And finally, I would like to focus also on capacity building and its positive influences in driving this conversation forward. So thank you, and back to you, Shital.
So thanks, Ms. Soy. I would actually now invite your comments when we start the panel discussion, which is the next session, and invite you also for your comments and the three things that you really highlighted that you would like to share some of your viewpoints around that. Um, I would now move forward with our second session, which is the panel discussion, and for which I will be inviting the panelists for today. So we have for this session Dr. Nitin K. Lapseper. He is the Chief Scientist and Head CSIR NEEDY, and his one of the areas of specialization includes cleaner energy generation, included rural cooking energy, hydrogen and cleaner combustion, including improved cook stoves and rural indoor air pollution control. And needless to say that Dr. Nitin has published several papers in reputed journal, and he's also the fellow of International Society for Energy, Environment and Sustainability, and member of several prestigious society bodies. I would request Dr. Nitin to please unmute yourself and share your key points on the strategies that you think are important to drive youth engagement in the sector of clean cooking, and your vast experience will help us understand this subject more.
Okay, good afternoon. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. And at the outset, let me compliment and rather congratulate Finovista for their untiring efforts in promoting clean cooking and in particular e-cooking. Well, I would start with reminding what Mr. Sharma BEE mentioned, that any energy transition takes time and efforts, and it's more challenging when we have to deal with the, like directly with the users or customers. The second is we need to achieve a just transition in this country, in India, and cooking energy, I believe, is one of the very good option wherein these kind of efforts will help us attaining just transition in addition to the energy transition. So I personally believe that one of the barriers in promotion of e-cooking, or for that matter, any clean cooking option, is lack of consumer awareness and preferences for traditional customs of cooking, what we typically call as adoption-related challenges, wherein, yes, I do believe that the youth can play effective role. So I would rather prefer to categorize based on my experience in the rural sector, that I categorize the two sets of youth by their age. One is around, say, 14 to 18, when they're mostly like students and they're kids, in fact. And other are like 18 plus or 20 plus up to 30, wherein their interest could be as entrepreneur, because most of them are working. So first group of actually students or children's, most of them, especially the girls, they are intensely involved in cooking and even collecting the firewood. So they are basically a sufferer of these impacts like smoke or drudgery, the time they have to waste, and other risk of traditional cooking. So with bit of a training, they can be effectively involved in awareness of, like the solid fuel cooking or traditional cooking impacts. And our experience with many villages, I would say, we organized some poster competition to make them aware, and they took this to their house. And later on, they came with the idea that yes, it was related to water. So they said yes, our parents want to clean water. Similar thing can happen with the cooking or clean cooking. We sometimes arranged interactive sessions in school, wherein we got quite a good response, even in the travel areas. To tell you frankly, like I worked in the Khandwa travel area and Lodhwa in Gujarat and many other travel areas. Well, for working youth, we should sensitize them about daily, like disability adjusted life years lost and the economic losses incurred due to health impact, the time wasted for them by them in the cooking process. And you may be surprised that even the rural folks are nowadays quite sensitive about the time they spend, especially in the morning when they want to go to the field. So these kind of devices will be very useful once they adopt this. Very quick points, few more. Like next, I feel that we should take advantage of PMUI initiatives, because once you introduce a clean cooking, the job to make them aware of clean cooking is already done at almost at the national level. So we should introduce like e-cooking as a next level, and this has got some specific advantages. And now most of the dishes can be cooked using e-cooking. And I personally feel that the areas wherein they use rice and lentils, like dal and chawal, are the best to introduce, because it can be done with the e-cooking or electric cooker. And once there is a sufficient mass, they themselves will promote the e-cooking. So, and with the youth, I found that instead of asking them to participate much in the awareness program, if you tell them that it is a training of trainers and they become your ambassadors. About the opportunities, again, I would thank Mr. Sharma to explain what are the opportunities for them. I personally worked with some school and colleges, especially like NSS program, wherein they can be trained and they are happy to take up these kind of a work. Many colleges, including engineering colleges, the students can go to the field. And also I checked there are schemes like the New Generation Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Center, wherein they provide the training. So we can also think about introducing cooking energy impacts in the school activities, if not in the curricula. Because quite often I found that now the students are, people are aware of climate change and global warming, but they are not aware that this is one of the causes of that. In addition to that, this is having a huge health impact. I mean, the direct kind of a damage to them. So we need to sensitize through schools and education department, for which I would say BEE or Phenomista, we all together can approach some education department and try to introduce that, like you have introduced water pollution, air pollution. So please introduce about harm of solid fuel cooking. So I'll stop here and look forward for more discussion. And in fact, to be frank, working with you all.
Thank you, Dr. Nitin. And I think it's rightly said that in schools and colleges nowadays, the idea of promoting awareness towards climate action is very prominent. But somewhere, the focus on clean cooking is something which like is not there. And it's I really like the way you've tried and elaborated on integrating the entire knowledge space for schools, communities, and creating action in the rural areas. And I'm sure Abhishek ji is also listening to us, and we would come up with strong action on this. I would like to now move forward and take views from our next panelist, Dr. Manju ma'am. She is the Principal Director at NPTI, National Power Training Institute. Ma'am holds a degree in Bachelor's of Engineering in Electronics and Communications, MS in Software Systems, MBA in HR, and doctorate degree with specialization in GIS and RS, and holds a 33 years of experience in the field of training and teaching at various positions in NPTI, and she was also the program director of the very prestigious 2-year MBA program in power management at NPTI. Ma'am, I would like you to unmute yourself and share your views on this topic and the ideas of how we can drive youth engagement in clean cooking sector.
Thank you, ma'am, Ms. Sheetal. And let me first compliment you for holding this third session of the talk series, which is, I suppose, the phase 3. And we are talking about transitioning to modern energy for cooking. And the main focus is on engaging youth for e-cooking. Yes, definitely. My earlier speakers have laid a lot of emphasis on how to, reach out to the youth and what percentage of youth is there who would be really engaged in such activities and in promoting the e-cooking. Now, as has already been mentioned, the thing is that we're going towards energy transition. And when we are talking about energy transitions, then it becomes very imperative that we are going to a new phase. And it is very important for us to uh, touch at the grassroots levels, that is at the school level. So such promotion has to be done at the school level in our educational curriculum itself. These things need to be incorporated so that people or children, as they grow, in next few years they would be adults, and maybe coming in the age group of 15 to 24. So we need to educate them at that level. um, uh, so that they, when they are choosing a career, they would keep this in mind, that whatever they are doing has to be sustainable, has to be taken care, the environment has to be taken care of. We need to think about ahead about the other generations. So when we are making strategies, we need to think as to who we are planning to reach out to, who would be the people, school, maybe colleges, or which level of people, and why are they important. They're important because they would be the ambassadors later on in propagating this information to their family members also. Through them only this message is going to reach out to the family members. And what do we envisage from all these things? So these days, nobody hesitates in going to the kitchen, be it boys or girls. I mean, it's not just limited to just girls. Boys also want to try out a lot of dishes, lot of menus that they have not even thought of, and they want to join in such activities. So I don't think, I mean, it is gender kind of, limited to any particular gender. So we need to propagate this and obviously tell them and emphasize as to not only this, we also have to bring in the policymakers, the entrepreneurs. Some entrepreneurs and investors also need to be involved in these activities, so that they need to tell the children who would be at that age, say somebody who will be passing out from the college. Now if he wants to become an entrepreneur, the investor, he should be knowing who the investor would be. If I want to invest or want to go in this field of, say, clean cooking, so who would be the investors who can provide investment for my project? So who are the donors, or maybe who would be the key partners? So this kind of information should be available to him handy. And also what I think is that we need to do a lot of publicity, not only advertising through banners or doing talk shows on radios. uh, we need to do more such marketing, so that the message reaches out to a lot of people who are there. So this is what I feel, because this has to be youth led, and a lot of challenges are there. You also know, like lot of dependency on the conventional fuels is still there. So this message has to go down deeper into the rural areas also. Yeah.
Thank Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your remarks on this, and I will come back to you with a set of, I think, queries, which I think you could answer on this. And with this, I'll move forward to Dr. Rudradeep Majumdar. He is the Assistant Professor for Energy, Environment and Climate Change Program, EECP, at NIAS, National Institute of Advanced Studies. Dr. Rudradeep has a doctorate in nuclear energy from North Carolina State University in USA and an MTech in nuclear engineering from IIT Kanpur. Before joining NIAS, he's worked as an institute postdoctoral fellow at IIT Bombay and postdoctoral research assistant at North Carolina State University. His research interest centers around sustainability, encompassing renewable and clean energy, nuclear and plasma fusion energy, industrial applications of plasma, and analysis of energy efficient sustainable system. And it's interesting, Professor Rudradeep is also currently working with mecs on a very important research-led project. I would invite your comments, Dr. Rudradeep. You have already been engaging a lot of youth in your program and initiatives. So would like you to share your comments.
Yeah, thank you, Sheetal. First of all, I will like to congratulate you because you are an young entrepreneur who is engaged in clean cooking sector, and you are a woman entrepreneur, which is also very attractive to drive further initiatives. And you have been personally a great motivator and a friend. And with this, I will start. First, Abhishek ji, Nitin ji, Manju ma'am, and Miss Saw, whatever you told is absolutely brilliant. You have laid the foundation. I was actually virtually scrambling through my hair that what I will speak, but I have been a teacher. So I am engaging with different age groups. With Nitin ji very nicely told that all of the age group people are not identical. So the roles that they are going to play, they are going to be very, very different. The age group that is in the 14 or maybe the teenagers will have a different role, and the 20 plus who will go into the profession, they will have a different role. I personally am engaging with PhD students with mid-20s, early mid-20s, and the masters and the undergrad students from the neighborhood colleges. So before going into the thick of what I think should be done or where the gaps are, I'll just take the example that, Abhishek ji very nicely took the example of Italy. But in India, we always give it to the advanced countries that they can do a lot of things we cannot do. So let us be little chilled out, complacent. But you have to also see that like countries, Sub-Saharan Africa, the Clean Cooking Alliance and the Student Energy, they held this October 2022 meeting where 70% of the delegation was youth. And among this delegation, 50% was young women. So this kind of progressive thing are always happening. And in India, although the enthusiasts are all over the place, I think that is individual enthusiasm. We need to now conglomerate. So that is one of the big things that we need to get things together in a professional manner rather than doing it is a also thing that in part-time I also voice for this clean cooking, but in meantime I do something else. So we need full-timers, young professionals working for the advocacy of clean cooking. That is a big gap. Then also all of you are aware that in UN Habitat Initiative, they have a short-term training program for the youth for the resource energy efficiency and the renewable energy take-up. So very brilliant initiative. But in India, you have a social hierarchy which needs to be actually broken. You need the youth to be heard. So who will play the role of the icebreaker? I have seen my interns going to the field, and the moment they start talking about anything away from the solid biomass or in some cases LPG cooking, they are shown the doors. So if the ice breaking does not happen, the fast discussion does not happen. So the changes that you can impact happens after you have the opportunity to discuss. So somebody has to do the ice breaking. Social hierarchy does not allow the young voices to be heard always. Third point, the training course materials that UN Habitat and many other organizations, they impart their short-term training courses. As Manju ma'am was very brilliantly telling, that it has to be embedded in the educational programs. I go one step further, ma'am. It has to be made a mandatory coursework in the degree-oriented program. Otherwise, again, people will just take it outside and they will read only which gives them job. So after the now I'll be coming to Nitin sir's comment. The young people will be going through the degree. After the degree, if they have a cooking course, what they do? They should have operational training courses for different types of electric cooking appliances, where they can demonstrate the cooking, and also they should know that how to service and repair. So we need the skilled man force. A generation is going away. We need the repairing shops who will repair. Components may be there, but someone has to put in this components. And then also you need active youth groups to be disseminating the scientific content which are written in easy to understand language regarding the benefits of electric cooking devices, because I found that many people within the Bengaluru municipal town area, they believe that electric cooking is hazardous for health. I am telling only a 2-week old experience. People think that electric cooking is bad for health, and the device is also very dangerous to deal with. This is the viewpoint we are having. Active myth bursting needs to be pursued to remove the widely prevalent misconception. This is not in complementary or in lieu of the scientific content dissemination. It has to be in parallel. You teach people what is right, but also debunk the what is wrong regarding the devices, regarding the vessels, regarding the safety standards. You have to debunk a lot of myths. Finally, there are 3 more challenges. We also heard this cooking discussion, but we, like the Kejriwal's mohalla clinics, we should have mohalla based cooking clinics, where periodically once in a week or twice a week there should be thought churning among the young people, involving some of the older women who are also the community who has a saying in the community level, so that this social gathering are the breeding place of the clean cooking and the thought churning of its far-reaching impacts. Because the number of youth that will be free for this kind of activity may be less, but if they germinate the seed of thought to some more people who are actually using the devices, possibly women gatherings will gain much more wind. The seed will come from the young people, the knowledge seed, but it germinates and manifests among the in the gatherings of the older women or the house wives and the people who are engaged in cooking. Even the domestic helps and maids, they can have a share in this, because they also need to be educated. They also form an important strata of the socio-economic group of our society. And behavioral traits are very rigid and cultural roots are overpowering. So the road is going to be challenging, and especially in a city like Mumbai, in a city like Delhi, in a city like Chennai, Bengaluru, the culinary and behavioral diversity will be there, because people come from all sorts of places. So standardization in terms of intervention is not very simple. Some people may want something, other people's requirement will be very different, and you have to be prepared with all the answers. And for that, actually, Sheetal engaged me with this study, that where the diversity component actually will be unfolded, and we can be prepared with some more answers with the unknown unknowns. So with this point of worries and discussion, I'll end it here. I think that I could add some value to the eminent panel of speakers. I again thank MECS Finovista and my co-panelists that you have come together to brainstorm over such an important topic to take it forward to the next generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Rudradeep. And I think apart from highlighting the strategies with respect to engaging youth, you've also highlighted the challenges and the overall challenges to transitioning to e-cooking. I would request Ms. Soy now to please share her points with respect to capacity building and other areas that she highlighted in her opening remark. And I will also request you to share with us some, you've been part of multiple initiatives for engaging youth, and as a global ambassador for youth under climate action, I would like you to also share with us some global best practices or initiatives that you would like to highlight over here, apart from the points that you wanted to elaborate. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm really pleased that each and every single panelist has mentioned education. And when you talk about capacity building, I think the essence and the foundation is founded on education. And the panelists have touched on different angles. I've had education for consumer awareness, and I've also had the angle on education for youth to understand their position and how they're affected by these challenges surrounding e-cooking and also the energy sector as well as climate change. But for me, the education for me, I understand I feel very strongly about education is educating not only young people, yes, within the school curriculum to understand climate education and the energy sector and how they're all interlinked, and embedding that with the different disciplines that they're in, whether be it accounting, medicine, engineering, and how they can all be a part of the energy transition, but also to be education so that in such a way that as young people, we're able to educate others. So this means if we're talking about, let's say, transition for the transition in the energy sector, that means for us to transition, first of all, before we get even to e-cooking, we have to have energy access in our homes in order to power up these electric cooking appliances. So what does careers in this moving at scale for different disciplines to enable that we as a country and as developing countries, we have access to electricity first, and then we can have the discussion on electric cooking and having this all exist in a plane that is happening sustainably. So when it comes to platforms that facilitate youth-driven climate action for clean cooking in our countries, I will start with where I'm at with sustainable energy for all. We do have internships open for early career professionals, and we do have clean cooking internships that are on a rolling basis. So that means the intern will be attached to a specific office, and together with a team of clean cooking experts, they'll be able to raise ambition and help governments recognize the benefits and co-benefits of clean cooking access, and also with a big component of having data and providing that data to drive the planning and investment required in the scalable solutions. As for the ambassador program, my role entirely is based on advocacy. So that means it's breaking down the complex terms that are used within the energy and clean cooking sector and having that into palatable terms that can be accessed or easily accessible to someone who's young or audiences who are not familiar with the terms and with the sector. So we throw out all the jargon out the window and we have a normal, ordinary conversation that is easy to understand, easy to follow. I mean, we're talking about cooking, we're talking about food. Food in our culture, in African culture, is to bring people together. It's it's just an important aspect of our cultural norms. So with the ambassador program and through my blog at the Eco Warrior Kenya, I have different articles and also use my social media platforms to advocate for clean cooking technologies. And someone spoke about consumer awareness. I talk about this a lot when I reflect back on my professional journey when I was a ministry at I was an intern at my ministry. That's the Ministry of Energy in Kenya, and I was attached to the clean cooking unit. And we had this challenge that we had a project that enrolled clean cooking stoves to a rural community. And 1 year later, when we came back to assess the project, we realized that there was a missing link. We had done everything. We delivered the cook stoves, we have raised the money, we have brought together the different partners to deliver the project, but we had missed a big component on consumer awareness. So the ladies at the local village were telling us that um, they didn't utilize the stoves as much because they didn't want the stoves to be used when they were not in the house. So if they were not the ones supervising, they wouldn't have their children or their help to be able to power the cooking stoves. And then there was this other majority, like a split 50-50. They said with the electric cooking, there are some meals that we have in our communities that we cannot cook with an electric cooker because we know the open flame is the best. It brings out the flavor, it brings out the char, and like it's the soul food. So then we realize that's a missing component. And I think with young people, we are able to bridge those gaps because we are caught in the middle. We are part of these communities and we're also educated, and I think we have the language and we have the tact to bridge and streamline the fine prints. I would now like to highlight some of the initiatives that have been crucial in my journey, especially specifically focusing on clean cooking. And I'm happy that someone had mentioned student energy. So student energy is a youth-led organization of young people who are advocating for advancements in the energy sector at all strands. And they do have this fellowship program that I joined when I wanted to take my blog and my writing to the next level. So I wanted it to be not just for entertainment purposes, but also to have the right statistics, to have the right backing. And because sometimes portals, you have to pay money to have access to some data when you're doing your research. And so I joined the Student Energy Fellowship to navigate those. And throughout my fellowship, I went in trying to assess how agriculture and the energy sector, like why renewables were not being integrated within the agriculture sector in my community in Kenya. But when you talk about agriculture, you talk about food, and when you talk about food, you talk about clean cooking and electric cooking. And so it just so happened that I sparked this interest on clean cooking. And one of the benefits that I was fortunate enough to experience was to attend the Clean Cooking Alliance forum that happens every 2 years, I believe, in Ghana. And within this Clean Cooking Alliance, I was able to join the Clean Cooking Alliance youth program, and they have a youth strategy that is centered around three key points on raising awareness, empowerment, and action by youth. So they have a separate program when it comes to action that really helps businesses by young people in clean cooking to become ready to take up on different challenges that they're going about. So there is a lot of support that is starting to come in and that I am seeing that is on the rise. And there is the interest from young people, as I mentioned. So I think for more, it's just the reinforcement and making sure that we understand the needs of the young people especially, and come in with the capacity building elements and bridge and marry these together so that we are able to carry and to cover more groundwork. Yes, back to you, Shital.
Thank you, Ms. Soe, for sharing those points. And I picked up on the aspect of platforms, the forums that you have mentioned, and the great initiatives. And I would come back to Dr. Nitin now, and I would request Dr. Nitin that Ms. Soy just shared an aspect about creating innovative platforms, like she mentioned about the Clean Cooking Alliance. That actually helps in integrating more and more youth engagement. I would like to understand more upon this from you, Dr. Nitin, that what can be the innovative platforms in India and globally that can be developed which focus not only upon the climate action generally, but specifically on clean cooking. And you also mentioned that how it is important to integrate the entire aspect of clean cooking within the larger aspect of transitioning to a cleaner and sustainable future. And what can be good examples of driving more and more, I would say, interest from youth to pick up such streams, not only in their study domain, but when they move out into picking up jobs and careers for themselves. Yeah.
Well, frankly speaking, I'm not an expert in this domain of HR, but based on my experience, yes, eat are smart. Of course, I would slightly concerned about promoting in any world and our world, and in India also. I personally consider then again there are like different economic levels, and sometimes we target those who are at the bottom of economic pyramid. Okay? So there are two things. One is an entrepreneur.
We, yeah.
I see a very good opportunity, not only for the sales and especially the O&M of e-cooking sector, because we are talking about close to 1.4 billion like people. And e-cooking has one advantage that we are not restricting promotion of e-cooking to like a rural sector. Okay, e-cooking will be very well rather adopted in the urban sector. So those entrepreneurs, they will not distinguish between a rural and the urban market. They will go by the huge market opportunity available. So they will cater to the need of both. Okay. Here I'd like to quote one example of, say, water purification devices. So any market in rural sector is a very sensitive market. Okay. So water purifier did not do so well in rural because of the affordability issue and the other problems. But I see that with the LPG like PMUI penetration, their affordability is increasing. Okay, and once we have like 24 by 7 electric things, and the way we are promoting, especially the solar, sometimes they see that along with the e-cooker, there is coming a solar panel. Okay, so there are two kinds of entrepreneur I see and I interacted with. One is those who are promoting e-cooking. Okay, so they're dedicated for e-cooking. There are groups who are into DRE sector, wherein they feel that they should promote both the solar electrification of individual houses along with the cooking device. So both these things have got a lot of promotional scheme from the government. The one more thing probably we can do from Finovista and like our community, that to make the rural folks aware of different scheme and also to help them getting benefits of these schemes. And I'm sure the kind of a skilling programs are there. We should introduce these kind of a skilling program for the maintenance of e-cooking and for demonstration or installation, which is of course easy. But skilling programs are like green skill programs are there, but it needs to be more popularized among the rural folks or in the town. Wherein in some states I found they're doing well. But the penetration is yet to be happening in the most vulnerable sector, I would say, a vulnerable part of the country, wherein as per the NHFS data, there are like Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, where the rural population, very significant number, are still using the solid fuels. So how to promote these kind of schemes in these states wherein solid cooking is still prevalent predominantly should be my take, in fact.
Thank you, Dr. Nitin. I would now request Manju ma'am that MPTI is engaged in training young power professionals. Discoms have an excellent consumer connect, And we've heard from our panelists that awareness, busting myths of consumers, and can actually lead to enable the transition, or I would say increase the adoption at the consumer level. And I think also proves to be a good opportunity to engage the young professionals in this segment. So I would like to hear your thoughts upon that.
Yes, ma'am, you rightly mentioned about NPTI. Um, and just for the sake of the audience, like NPTI is an apex body under Ministry of Power, and we have been in the training and human resource development area for the past more than 50 years. And we have been conducting short term, medium term, long term training programs for the discoms, be it generators or be it transmission companies. And now the focus is on renewable energy companies. And as Mr. Nitin has already mentioned, we had also conducted when the uh, solar installation was at its boom, and we had also conducted entrepreneurship programs for setting up renewable energy, uh, plants. So we did that also, and it was in fact through these new and renewable energy ministry that such programs were initiated. So that did create a lot of awareness, and a lot of entrepreneurs wanted to get into this business. And now also you've seen that there are a lot of companies who are already providing your panels and other accessories related to the renewable energy. So as in a similar manner, I think we also need to create awareness among, or create entrepreneurs for this kind of this kind of clean cooking mechanisms, clean cooking devices. So and not only like entrepreneurs, also those people who can later on, like you have a mobile repair person, you're skilling him to get the mobiles repaired, and you will find shops all over. So in a similar manner, you also need to create or skill manpower for those things also, for repairing devices or equipments that are related to clean cooking. So awareness programs can be conducted. We can also do that in NPTI, through NPTI, that we can create awareness related to clean cooking mechanisms and the things that are there already available, as we are already doing courses on renewable energy also, short term, medium term, and in fact a postgraduate diploma course also is being run by NPTI for setting up renewable energy. So that way, I mean, that is a good idea, that such awareness programs, entrepreneur programs can be conducted, which can be, I think, sponsored by some agency, so that more youth can come for this kind of entrepreneurship programs, like what was done by MNRE earlier. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be really an excellent opportunity because that can actually help them think about their careers long term and also create meaningful impact, in the society. Uh, Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your comments. And Professor Ruddeep, before we close the session for today, I would invite you to share like one or two recommendations on the strategies that can be developed with respect to actually getting more and more interest of people to look at careers in this segment, to look at research in this segment, and not only from point of creating consumer awareness and busting the myths, but we all agree that uh, interventions at multiple levels is required. And as a youth, you think about multiple streams of careers, and as a researcher also. So, what can really drive interest of young people in this sector? So, one or two good recommendations on this aspect will, yeah.
Uh, Thank you, Sheetal. You have touched upon the one very, very important point that which I am dealing with, because when I give this kind of task to these young people, the first question they ask, sir, what will I get after I finish this task? So that cannot be only one recommendation letter in my letterhead and the remuneration for the work they do. No, not that has to be something bigger than this. So you have to now, as you are one of the front running proponents and entrepreneurs, please try to scout for people and also inform us that where are the job opportunities for these young talents, provided they are educated with this cooking knowledge. And some people, and if you can include this cooking device appliance servicing and maintenance in the ITI training, because ITI vocational training, they give low tension line trainings and high tension light trainings. So certificate like certified this service and repairing training from the government funded ITI institutes, and even private funded these training sessions will be one major recommendation. And please consolidate a database where these people can be recruited, because I actually do not have an answer that beyond the 5 top people out of the 20 I am dealing with, where they will be placed. So there only the front cream de la cream is placed and other has to go astray. That will not be very attractive option for an emerging field. Emerging field should come up with a lot of job opportunities. And if somebody is good in HR and the writing skill, they should have one kind of job. If somebody is good at hands-on skill with the devices and the demonstration part, they should have a job of different kind. But we need to know where the jobs are. So until and unless that clarity comes, it will be very difficult and difficult to motivate the youth. Another point I would like to mention to all the dignitaries, that government is making promises of free electricity, and a lot of the electric cooking eagerness or adoption eagerness is contingent upon this free electricity. People tell that if we get electricity for free and we don't have to pay anything extra, then it is okay, we can try. The moment we have to pay for electricity, we do not want this cooking device. So this kind of trend tendency tells that this subsidy oriented or election oriented promises may take up it to some distance, where investors and manufacturers will create capabilities and invest money. And after that, if the politicians shift away from their promises, this large investment and capacity created will be facing a lot of trouble. That is my on ground experience. I am going to field, and my thing is that until and unless that contingency, irrespective or contingency, any transition that is contingent upon a government promise on a particular scheme of freebies, is going to be very, very problematic for the investors and the manufacturers who are going to create capacity. So we have to be conservative in our progress may be slow, I can accept that, but if you make people lose money, you will not get a second generation of investors. So with these two remarks, I will just close my comments. I think I have made my points very clearly. So we can discuss. If I am contacted, I can furnish more information. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor Rudradeep, for very valuable suggestions and all. And we have some questions which we have taken. And any panelist want to give the final word that how does the, especially in the electric cooking, there is the two sets of job or two sets of youth engagement which we are expecting. That one is the high skill job which actually can go to the factory level, power company level, the device manufacturing level. Then the second category of job require the low skill job which can be managed on the ground, like selling of the devices on to the actual user, or distribution network, or maybe simple repair and maintenance and all. So is the youth is going to have the sufficient opportunity in terms of they can able to meet their needs and all? Like you mentioned that is it economically viable to pick this opportunity. Like I heard when I was in Singapore, I heard this line: no parents want to make their kid as a taxi driver. So is this job is also going to be the dignified and economically viable for the family? Yeah. This is the open question. Any panelist want to comment, or maybe multiple panelists also, all are welcome. Yeah.
See, Vimal, I have a small comment on this. The thing dignified is directly related to the pay package, correct? Now, although you can get college freshers after the ITI training, I am just taking a small example, at a rate of say 30 to maybe 45,000 rupees per month for this service, repair, maintenance, and disbursement. But they need also the growth. So now, if you have a company that has only, and these innovations, mind you, that all the innovations related to this e-cooking and meaningful progress is happening only through the startups. So the startups who are starting just on their own, will they be actually putting a lot of money on the human capital? That is first question. And if they have to offer a large pay package, will they be able to increase the number of people recruited? So the trade-off balance will be that multiple person at a low pay, or a lesser number of people at a higher pay. So as you were aspiring, or we are collectively aspiring, a large number of people should have an adequate career. So there should be actually a standardized kind of salary across different regions, which should not create any kind of what should I say, your IT company kind of polarization, that this region, this kind of job is actually more attractive, the other kind. Then we will end up a lot of this blog writers, or either a lot of device distributors, but not enough repair and service people. So the complexity of the job and the task that is entrusted with, whether it is impacting more number of people. So a blog writer may not be getting into the component fixing or the screwdriver tightening, but the number of people they impact is not less. So how to rank this kind of jobs dignity based on the pay package is going to be a challenge. And then different cities living standard, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, metropolitan, how do you standardize them? How do you sensitize this information to the startups and the employers, that yeah, we have this kind of government has to pass something, state government level or the central government level, but whether that will be acceptable to the startups who are independent in their innovation and free thinking, that is a big question. So a stakeholder consultation on job creation and making it dignified, that what should be the pay package, is going to be a major discussion if you want to make a career out of it, and you want to attract more talented and meaningful youth, not the half timers. As I was discussing with Nitinji while I discuss this thing, age group based, you can pay little less salary to the young enthusiast, but you have to certainly pay a larger amount for the people who gets their hand dirty, who are like 24 plus, 24 and onwards, 34 region. So this kind of thinking has to come up, that which job is for what kind of youth. So that is very, very important.
Thank you, Professor Rudradip. So any other panelists like to comment? Okay. So if there is no comment, so we like to thank you, our moderator Sheetal Rastogi, our panelist Dr. Nitin Shiroper, Professor Rudradip, and Dr. Manju Ma'am, and Shri Abhishek ji. Thank you all, and thank you delegates for coming. Hope this is useful and you can able to make, and let us again reconnect for the next talk series on the capacity building, which is most important topic again. So thank you all. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Sai, and
Thank you.
thank you, Nitinji. Abhishek ji,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sheetal, we